So it's clear that the system is just not working. Is the best thing for us to do just throw this assessment out?
Definitely not. So I definitely do not think that we should scrap the annual national assessments. They're one of the most important policy developments that have happened in the last 10 years. The problem is that they need to be improved in the way that they're set and in the way that they're implemented. So I don't think that we should scrap them at all. Some people misinterpret what we say when we criticize the ANAs and say, oh, we should scrap them. That's definitely not what we're saying. We say they need to be improved. Now, the way that they can be improved is by employing legitimate techniques, things like item response theory, anchoring, making the tests comparable over time and across grades so that you actually can make these kinds of claims about improvements or deteriorations over time. But until you have those kinds of systems in place, and you need large teams of serious psychometric experts, which we do not have, and this kind of assessment is not being done to compare the difficulty level of individual questions over time in the department. Those kinds of things are just not being done with the ANAs. They're done with all the international assessments that we take part in and that other countries do. They're just not being done with the ANAs.
So it's not an impossible task to make a standardized assessment that will really give us an accurate representation of how school children are doing.
No, definitely not. So, and I mean, as I say, in the report, the department acknowledges this, that they're not comparable and that they're moving towards trying to make it comparable. So you do something that's called test equating, where if you've got 30 questions in a test, you might have 6 or 7 questions that are common relative to the previous year. But now in order to do that, you obviously need to administer the test and take the tests back so that the children aren't exposed to the test items before they're being used. And then what you do is you compare. You've now got 2 tests, both have 30 questions in them, but they have 6 test items that are common. And you can say, well, how did the kids in each year do on those 6 items, and compare them relative to the difficulty of the non-common items. And then what if the children do exactly the same on the common items, but very different on the other items, then you know that the other items were either easier or more difficult than in the previous year. And then you can adjust the marks. And again, this kind of stuff is standard practice in international assessments, test equating, and using item response theory and anchor items. And it's just not being employed at all with the ANAs, which is highly, highly problematic and misleading.